Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this Red Table Wisdom Talk. I'm Cathy Mines, the Director of Wellness at Reach Yoga, taking my seat at the Red Table as host and call moderator. The Red Table Wisdom Talks are weekly conversations between Kahontakwas Diane Longboat and people worldwide who are looking to participate in exchanges that lift the spirit. This virtual community space is provided solely for the purpose of making Indigenous teachings available in the spirit of reconciliation. Diane, a ceremonial leader and traditional teacher, healer, and the founder of Soul of the Mother, a healing lodge on the shores of the Grand River at Six Nations, Grand River Territory. Kahontakwas, we make our tobacco offering to you with respect and thanks for your traditional teachings tonight.
Thanks so much, Cathy. It's great to see everybody, and I'm always grateful to the Creator that we made it for one more week, that we have this opportunity to be together once again. And this morning when I was doing my own pipe ceremony and my own Thanksgiving, I remembered you and all of the really incredible times that we've had together in ceremony, all the visions, the dreams, the teachings, and the healings that we've been witnessing. And so I'm mindful of that tonight as I bring that smudge to you, and I want to smudge you so that we can start our time of giving thanks together. Yawa Sangwe Disam, for such a beautiful day, that we have had this day, your love that's manifested in all of creation, your love that is shown to us in the beautiful mineral life that is underneath our feet, the great waters upon the earth, the fresh waters, salters, the rain waters, and the birth waters. We give thanks this day, Samwaitism, for the beauty that is all of the plant life upon the earth. Thinking of the medicine plants that are strengthening us now and helping our immune systems to become stronger than they were even 4 months ago. We thank you, Samwaitism, for the strawberries that are rooted now and will flower next month. We give thanks for the tobacco as a lead of all those medicine plants and the highest of all plant life, for we use that in our conversations with you. We give thanks and honor to the maple trees, the standing tree people. And in our area, it is the maple tree that is the lead of all of those trees. We give thanks to the deer as a lead of all of the animals. We give thanks to all of the living beings that are in the waters and in the air, the grandmother and grandfather turtle, the grandmother and grandfather eagle, taking their duties and responsibilities. And upon the earth, such a beautiful human family, great faith, traditions, and diversities throughout the world. We are mindful of the challenges that are facing the human family now, and grateful that we have an opportunity to be in sacred seclusion so that we can further imagine and work towards a new reality for the human family and for all of creation. We give thanks this day for the thunderbirds, for the great lightning that comes from their eyes, that nourishes the air and cleanses it. We give thanks this day, Samwaitism, for those four sacred beings over us that have brought us great teachings and have walked with us on earth from time to time. We give thanks this day for the stars that represent the ancestors. Their great walk upon the earth was rewarded with a beautiful place to hang in the heavens to show all humanity that it is possible to complete your spiritual journey and to have a place where you can shine upon the earth to inspire all human beings. We give thanks and honor to our grandmother, the moon, who rose this morning and was equidistant with the sun. And as she was setting and the sun was rising, it was a powerful moment in time. We thank you for the medicine, Grandmother Moon, that you leave for the women, for the coming of fertility and new life in every cycle of the earth. We honor and give thanks to our brother, the sun, our elder brother, the one who walks across the sky from east to west each day. And as he walks across the sky, he brings life and light to the world, for all things are made of sunlight. We give thanks and honor to that great star formation called the Milky Way that joins the natural world to the heavens of the spirit world, and the soul bridge over which we will all walk one day to return to that place of peace where we were originally made. We give thanks this day to all of the beings that are on the other side in that place of peace, to the ancestors that walk before us, the great ones that have walked the earth, who understand what it is to be a frail and weak and ignorant human being, and understand the challenges that we face here on the earth. They are continuing to pray for us each day, and they are continuing to join us in these challenges that we are facing now through those great prayers. We're grateful for their dreams and visions that continue to come to us and inspire us. We give thanks this day, Songwe Dizon, for the great ones that are seated at your council fire. They have been spirit beings who have helped you with the furtherance of creation on the earth. They have completed that journey of creation, and we thank them for all of the work that they do on your behalf. We thank all of those great ones that are seated at the Creator's council fire. They are great healers and teachers, leaders, peacemakers. They continue to hear us as we make invocations with our tobacco, and we ask for healing, spiritual guidance, protection, and understanding of the way forward. And so with these words, Songwe Dizon, we give thanks this day that we have made it for another week, that this spiritual family that is gathering here weekly has the opportunity to share the sacred breath of life with one another, that we have the opportunity to share teachings and dreams from the journals that are being kept, that we have an opportunity to raise up our spirits, to be strong in this time period, not only for each other, but for our partners, for our children, for our grandchildren, for our friends and family members, extended family members, and for all of those around us who are our colleagues, those in our communities, those in prisons and jails, those who have been forgotten in long-term care facilities, all of those who are suffering today. We raise up our prayers and we remember them, and we send them our deep love and respect. And to you, Songwe Dizon, the owner of all life, we pay our greatest respect and give our greatest love, for you have created all things from a great vision that you had of what paradise looks like. And so this day we give thanks to you that we can still be together, that we can still do this work together, that we are going to work even harder, further, and stronger in the coming years that are ahead. So with these words, we give thanks. We remember all of our relatives throughout the world. We remember those who are suffering and forgotten in the poorest countries of the world. And we ask you, Songwe Dizon, to wrap your arms around them. So with these words, we give thanks. Nyawa relatives, miigwech. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time this evening talking about the importance of your life, the importance of those 7 fires that we talked about last week, that we were going to speak about this week, and talk a little bit also about prophecy and talk about why we find ourselves here at this time. So one of the things I want to share with you is that there's a fire that's burning deep in the center of Mother Earth. And when we have been sent there on various missions to retrieve medicine from Mother Earth or to retrieve messages from her, what we see is a beautiful fire that's burning. And this Ongwe woman standing at the fire with long, long hair, and she's holding a woven basket in her left hand. And with her right hand, she's putting tobacco from that basket into the fire. And all of her prayers are dedicated to the earth, the mineral life, to the plant life, to all the beings in the waters and in the air, to all of the animal life, to all the medicines, to all of the foods that are the sustainers of life, to the great four winds, the grandfather winds. She also prays for the thunder beings and for the natural forces that are moving on the earth, for the great waters that are having such trouble now because everything is so polluted. And so she continues to pray for all human life, for every single person every day. And, you know, I really want to honor her for her steadfast love and prayers, especially for the human family, because we've fallen so far out of balance. And so this day, you know, when I tell you about these fires, remember in your own invocations, in your own language, in your own way, to remember that she is alive, she is a living being, and that she has a fire burning at the center of the earth. That she makes prayers for us every day, that we will grow and evolve as a human family, and that we will spiritually evolve. Because don't forget, you know, as creation unfolded and the Creator shaped us, that there was also a process of evolution. That evolution came not only a physical evolution, but there was also the evolution of the mind. From the Dark Ages to the age of the Renaissance in Europe, that changing of the mind, the understanding of science as well as spirituality. So the mind has changed, the body has changed, the emotions have changed with, you know, as we as human family listen to the spirit here on Turtle Island and formed all of our laws and codes and ways of being based on what the spirit told us. And so that's how we convened our governance and our laws here on Turtle Island in all of the nations that are here. And so, you know, when we think back to that moral code, that's the code of the heart. And then, you know, now we're looking at the code of the spirit, and we're in the final time of the evolution of humanity, in that fourth period of evolution, where it is not only the way of the heart, which is love, but it's the way of the spirit. And we are being watched every single day by the Creator to see who we are, how we behave, and how we give thanks. And so that fire that's burning in Mother Earth is then connected to our fire that burns here on top of the earth. So as much as we lit a smudge here this evening, that is connected to the Creator's fire. And we make our sacred fires on the land. That is the most powerful channel to the Creator is through that fire. And the elders always have taught us that if the fire goes out, the ceremony is over. That's how important the fire is. And so that fire in Mother Earth is connected to our fire here on top of the earth. And so that fire that we burn is then connected to the fire inside the Grandmother Moon. The Grandmother Moon is not an inanimate being. The Grandmother Moon has life and purpose and meaning. And so there is a fire that burns inside her. And her fire is connected to the prophecies here on the earth, the prophecies of the sacredness of the woman, the rise of the woman into leadership, the rise of the woman's gifts into prominence, not to supplant those of the man, but to walk alongside those of the man, to be equally valued with those of the man. Those gifts are so important for women because women are different leaders than men. Women have different gifts and capacities and skills, different mindset. And so our contribution to the world is so much needed now for nurturing, for love, for inclusiveness, for equity. And you know yourself that when your wife, your auntie, your grandmother, your mother opens the door of her home, and somebody that is outside that door needs to eat, everybody eats in that house, not just the family at the table. So the woman feeds all, and it's time now for women's leadership to rise, and it's time for men to understand that they also have certain gifts and capacities and abilities. Their gifts are different from ours. And so when you put those two sets of gifts together, then you have a really complete combination. And I also include in that configuration the LGBTQS people who are specially gifted. They are specially gifted, and there's place in ceremony for them as well. And so, I want to tell you about that grandmother moon, because this morning at 5:55, Vivi sent me a beautiful photograph of the grandmother moon as she was descending and the sun was ascending. And for that moment in time, they were equidistant in the sky. And they say that on those days where the full moon is descending and the sun is rising, that that's a very special time to be able to make a prayer and to ask the Creator for something that you really need in your heart that is going to help you in your journey. So I really hope that before you go to bed tonight that you'll make that invocation, that prayer to the Creator, and ask for what you need in your life. So this is an important time, because the power of that grandmother moon is becoming really strong within women. Some women are sleeping specifically in moonlight. Some women are gathering the dew from the grass in the morning that the full moon has left. And some women are putting water on the windowsill so that the moon's light hits that water and turns it into medicine for your emotional and mental well-being. So there's many functions of the grandmother moon. And of course, for all of us, from all cultures, there are always ceremonies that honor the grandmother moon. We call them the full moon ceremonies. There's also the fire that's burning inside the grandfather sun. And that fire is a life fire that Mother Earth needs in order to continue her life cycle. And we connect also with that fire inside the grandfather sun. His life fire, his light connects to the fire of the ancestors in that place of peace, where the ancestors are continuously praying for us. And so that fire of the ancestors connects to the Creator's council fire. Those fires are the ones that the Creator put in place for us to be able to make the most sacred and the most powerful of all connections. But the seventh fire that is connected to all of them, that brings all of them to life for you in your own spiritual journey, is the fire that burns inside of you. When you take a breath and when your heart beats, that fire is burning inside of you. And that fire enables you to continue to have life. So this is the challenging time that we live in now. And people were so fearful when the pandemic started. Please do not be fearful. Please be those people of faith and spirit who are reaching for the Creator on a daily basis in your own way of giving thanks, in your own way of making your connections to talk to the Creator. Because this is your time now to show the Creator who you are and what you believe in. It's your time to stand up for the Creator. You are made from stardust. You were made by the Creator. You were given a spiritual mandate and spiritual gifts to bring into the world. You came from a place of harmony in the spirit world. And when your spirit was lowered here to be born through your mother and your father, you were destined to bring harmony into the world. So your gifts, your spiritual mandate, everything that you represent is about harmony. It's about activating the way of the heart. So if I could say anything about the evolution of where we are right now, the evolution of where we are right now is the era of the heart. It is the era of learning how to forgive. That doesn't mean those wounds or those scars will go away. They'll always be there as memory, but they're not going to be wounds that are going to shape your behavior, your thoughts, your actions, or your dreams, or your fears. That's what healing is all about. And so those wounds need to be acknowledged, but they do not need to shape you as a human being. So this is a time period now when we need to understand that we are spiritual emissaries. We are spiritual messengers that the Creator sent here to bring harmony to the earth with the gifts that we carry. So it is our job, our duty, to understand our own particular spiritual mandates, our own gifts, to understand the ancestors that have been put in place to help us and guide us, talk to us, dream with us, so that we can move forward to bring harmony into the world. We need to evolve spiritually. And whatever faith tradition and culture that you come from, that all of those cultures are rich in a shamanic tradition. They're rich in our own Ongwehongwe cultures, Mi'kmaq cultures. We are Anishinaabeg cultures as well. Our cultures enable us to connect to the source. The divine source is the Creator. Our cultures enable us through our ceremonies, our songs, our teachings, our way of life, how we interact with the land. They enable us to connect with the source of life. This is the most powerful thing about being an Ongwehongwe person, is to have been born into that legacy. And make no mistake about it, for all of you, no matter who you are, where you come from, you were destined to be born at this time period because of the spirit that you carry, the gifts that you carry, and the work that you're going to do in the world. You've been destined for that. And the important piece to remember is that you have been prayed for thousands of years to be here. You earned the right to live at this point in time. So you need to make a choice. All of us make the choice. Are we going to walk in fear every day, or are we going to walk with powerful faith and a positive, good mind to be able to not only uplift ourselves and our families, but to uplift those around us? This is not a tragedy of what is happening to the human beings. This is a course correction. And when Pahan joined us, I think it was the second or third Red Table talk that we had, she said very clearly, this is a course correction for humanity. And this course correction enables us in this time of sacred seclusion to reevaluate who we are and what we stand for in the world, and to look inside at those things that no longer serve us. So, what are the obsessions that we continue to have that no longer serve us? What are the character flaws that we continue to feed that no longer serve us? What are the pieces of our character that we know we need to let go of so that we can fully evolve spiritually? And I mentioned earlier that this is the way of the heart. This is the era of the heart. To be able to generate love means that the spirits need to come and live inside of you. And it's not your decision when they come and live inside of you. It is the Creator's decision. He will send them, but you'll know because they will talk to you and they will say, I am coming to be with you now. And you'll feel different. You'll see things differently. You'll react to things differently. You'll process things differently in your mind. So these are important times that we are living in, that we have this incredible opportunity to walk with honor and to walk with the Creator. There's never been an era like this in the history of the human family, when the smallest microbe could bring us to our knees, could stop the entire world, could stop the entire world. And, you know, as difficult as this is of what we're being challenged with, you know, I am not fearful about the future. I want to embrace the future with every element, every cell of my body that says this future is going to be one where there's a universal law of love for all human beings. That future is going to be a future of peace, where every child that is born is going to be celebrated and loved. No child will be in this institution that we call foster care, because we will have community that is so powerful and so strong that there are hundreds of aunties and uncles that want to pick up those children and love them to bits and claim them as their own. That no child will be hurt, abused, unfed, unwanted, unloved. That's the world that we're going to emerge into. And the only way that we can start to do that is to begin to evolve spiritually, to let go of ego, fear, greed, and anger. Those are the sicknesses of humanity. So this is our time now to be able to embrace those changes and embrace the challenges that are in front of us. Because now, as you know, the countries are opening up, and you know they're saying, you know, health and economy are the two major pieces that we need to be concerned with. And I would say that, you know, Mother Earth has always provided for us. Mother Earth has abundance. There is no lack of food in the world, but there are countries that are hoarding food. There is no lack of clean water in the world, but there are companies that are polluting the water. And so these are challenging times. We're going to have to stand up and talk and be heard with the messages that need to come from our own mouths to say the kind of world that we want, the kind of governance that we want, the kind of education system that we want. And be sure when you do that, that you're guided by the Spirit. You cannot become angry, because as soon as you become angry, the Spirit will leave you and the power of your message will diminish. So I'm going to stop there. So I know that there's lots of dream journals that people want to bring forward, messages that you've received in this past week, but also you've got lots to talk about in terms of some of the challenges that you might have faced during the past week. So I'll turn it back to Cathy now. Thanks, Kath.
Thank you so much. That was rich. Thank you. So anybody that would like to share from their dream journal or anything they'd like to share, type into the chat box to let me know, or raise your hand so I can call on you. And you can type your questions in the chat box, and I can read them out loud for you if that's better. Maybe while people are doing that, I'll share a dream. I had a dream that I was at this, like I was away on a retreat for, it was a consciousness study retreat. And we were all in the lunchroom. And I was there and I was opening up these earphones, and I guess I was changing the batteries in them. But it, you know, it was really important, my earphones, you know, like some clarity of hearing. So I was changing the battery. But then I realized I was actually standing beside myself while I was sitting at this dining room table, changing the batteries on my earphone. But I was standing beside myself. I could feel the heat of my body, and I could feel my like soft hair. So I was sitting in the dream, having the dream in the chair, doing something. But then I was also beside myself, and I could actually feel the human person. Oh, Diane froze. Were you able to hear it?
Yeah, I did. I heard it all.
Oh, okay.
Turn on the light. Now you can see me.
There you are.
It got so dark. Like it's like 8 o'clock here. It's nothing. Anyway, thanks for that dream. It's really beautiful. And you know, that's part of of spiritual evolution, is being able to leave your body. So what you're seeing is, you know, when the old ones talk about mind, body, spirit. So we understand that the soul is within you. The soul never leaves your body. That's the one that contains your traditional name, your gifts, your spiritual mandate, the ancestors that are going to walk with you, all those things that shape you as a human being. And so, you know, that part of you never leaves until it's ready to leave your body and travel back to that place of peace. So what you experienced was your spirit leaving your body. And so sometimes, like I've had dreams from my childhood where I have left my body sleeping on the bed and I'm floating there at the top of the ceiling. And I know lots of you have had those kinds of dreams. That's the working part of your soul is your spirit, and it's the one that leaves and it moves around, and it has the ability to travel. And so, you know, in ceremonies, all things are possible because time and distance doesn't mean anything. So when we're in ceremony, the power of ceremony is this, that when the sacred fire is burning, the songs are being sung, the medicines are offered, all the pipes are ready, and people are smoking their pipes and praying together. What is happening is that world that we call the place of peace, that level of consciousness, touches our natural world and our level of consciousness here. And so when those two worlds come together, that's the magic where miracles happen, where people get up from their deathbeds, where, you know, cancer leaves the body, where individuals who couldn't walk before get up and walk. Those are powerful moments of time when the spiritual world and the natural world convene, they touch each other. And in those moments, the power of the Creator is felt most deeply. And so, you know, when the spirit is traveling, leaving the body and traveling, it can go anywhere, no matter what, for time or for distance, or to do whatever kind of work that it needs to do. So some people travel in their dreams. Some people travel with the Northern Lights. Some people travel just through spirit travel and through the pipe, and ask to be in a certain country, in a certain place, and to do certain work with certain people. So there's lots of opportunities for spirit to travel. Thanks for that dream. That's a good one.
Thank you. Yeah. So is there anybody else that's ready to share? Oh gosh, Sunny, you had a hand up there. Look I say use the hand raising and then I forget. Okay, Mama D, I see you, but I'm gonna go to Sunny first because I see her. I'm gonna lower your hand and unmute you. Are you there? No. Can you unmute yourself? I'm on my laptop this week, so it's a bit.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. So this dream wasn't this week. It was about 2 weeks ago, and the dream was very chaotic. It was all kind of chaos and things happening. But then at nighttime, I went out and I was wrapping purple cloth around the trees. And I knew that I had to do it at night, otherwise somebody would stop me. And so a man was walking by, walking his dog or something, and it was night, and said to me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "This represents Creator's love," which in fact, it's purple is peace. But then when I shared this dream with Goki, she was like, "Once you have peace, then you have love." But I was wrapping the purple cloth on all the trees. Mm-hmm. I'm real close to the trees, and a lot of people have been cutting trees down needlessly in the neighborhood. So it was real powerful. It was real beautiful.
Mhm.
And I had, this isn't a dream, but it was a vision when I was smoking my pipe. And when I was in the direction of the West and I was offering gratitude to the ancestors. And sometimes it's just my prayer is general to the ancestors, and sometimes I will have connected with someone specifically. And so it'll be offering that gratitude. But I was just offering like a general gratitude and starting my prayer. And this like visual came to me like a class picture that has like 200 or 300 people in it with faces. And as I started to thank them, they like came forward. So it was like we were like right there with each other. And it just continued and continued as long as I would continue praying. It just kept happening. And I didn't have to say who it was. They just kept stepping forward.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah. So here's the thing about trees is that the trees have medicine that we need for life. The individual trees have, each of them have medicines. Sometimes they like to work together for a certain sickness or illness. Sometimes they'll work all of them all together. And so, you know, trees are important because they're the only life form on the earth that can create water, that can create soil, and can create air, clean air. They're the only life form on earth that can do all of that. And so they have medicines inside of them that that help us, whether it's through their bark or the foods that come from those trees. So trees are the number one plant that are going to help us through this journey. And so we need to think about what were the original trees that were planted in the area where you live and replant those trees again. So they're trees that are the original native species to your area. They will, and they will work together, all the different species, but some of them like to work like real close to one another. And so it's important for you to learn about that and also teach children about that and understand that the trees breathe. And when the trees breathe, they give off a medicine in the air. And so if you're making medicine and you know you want that tree to breathe on the medicine that you've been making and bless that medicine, then you need to understand what that tree does and how it works with the medicine that you're making. So there's lots to know, but it's important now to understand that, and as far as I can take you right now, is to plant trees. Plant the original native trees that grew in your area. Before the settlers came, before the lands were cleared, before a lot of these very special woods were taken away, you know, find out what those trees were and replant them again. And you know, that other picture you had of all those people, you know, coming at you, it's the ancestors, you know, that are getting ready to work with you, talk to you, help you on this next stage of your journey. So get ready for that, because that's a heavy ride, but a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Sunny. Thank you, Diane. Oh, yes. Mama D, I've unmuted you. Did you have something? You want to share your bread?
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a dream, but it's been an idea that keeps coming back to me because it's something I had when I was a kid. I don't know if it's appropriate. Hi, Diane. And everybody, it's nice to be here. It's when I was little, and it's my own way of. I'm an adoptee, and I sort of thought I was from another planet when I was until I was about 60. You know, I just didn't belong anywhere, which gave me an interesting perspective. But when I was precocious, I sort of raised myself since I was 7 days old. So I had this, somebody told me when I was in grade 9, when I was 9 years old, that it didn't matter what we did on the planet because we were inevitably going to go into the sun and get blown up. And along with my all pre-existing existential nightmares I was having, I kind of added that, and I just got into my art and I got into my music. And then about 3 years, 4 years later, I learned that one of my science teachers strung a really taut wire from one side of the room to the other side of the room and hung on strings of equal length, balls of equal length, and started swinging one and the other one started. And at that point, I said, no, we're not going to crash into the sun. Our purpose here is to be in such harmony with ourselves and each other that we will create a beat and we will beat ourselves out of the you call the gravity of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
That's our purpose here, to be so balanced and so in harmony that we will not crash into the sun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to share with you.
Wow, that's a really beautiful sense of knowing, you know. That's a spiritual message in a different way. Sometimes there's auditory messages, visual messages, but that sense of knowing is a very deep way of being connected to the spirit, and knowing that harmony is the reason why we're here, to be in harmony with life, with the life cycles, with the beings that are here that the Creator made. Like, that's a real powerful knowing. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. I might turn it into, I'm thinking of turning it into a children's book.
That would be great.
I'm looking for artists.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, there's a couple of questions in the chat box, and I'm going to kind of try to blend the two, because Natalie missed last week and she had a question that we were pulling over, plus something that you said earlier. So you said you hope tonight that we will go out and have prayers with the moon tonight, which also made me think about the sun ceremony. So sun ceremony, a moon ceremony. And it was Natalie that asked for a little bit more support on the sun ceremony. Could I ask you to talk about tonight's moon ceremony in combination with that?
Sure. So the only reason people want to talk about the sun ceremony is because they're failing. So just saying. So failure is not something to be ashamed of. It's not something that, you know, like how you failed tests in school or you didn't do the quiz as well as you had hoped. You know, the sun ceremony is not about that. The sun ceremony is about building character. And so when you fail, you have to self-reflect and examine what was it that I did to myself and the decisions that I made that caused me to fail. So it's really self-reflective. And did I stay up too late? Did I think that oh yeah, well, tomorrow I can get up for the sun ceremony. I'm just going to do, you know, these four more things and then I can go to bed. You know, thinking about those 4 more things as being more important than getting your rest so that you can get up for the sun ceremony. So some people don't want to feel, so they'll work so hard that they don't have to feel. See what I mean? Mm. So the sun ceremony will not let you get away with that, because if you work too hard, you're going to sleep in, you're going to miss your sun in the morning, you're going to fail. So you start up again. And I think it's such a good lesson in life, because, you know, one of the things that I'm noticing is that we don't teach our children about hard times and what it is to fail or not to be successful at something that means a lot to you. And what children, now do is go into a state of depression, and eventually, if they're bullied at school and their life becomes real miserable, they will consider suicide. So we need to teach our children about failure, about dealing with hard times, dealing with challenges that come their way that sometimes we can't figure out and we need help with, and it's not weak to ask for help. So the sun ceremony is character building, and it's self-reflective, and it makes you humble yourself before a process and before the creator to ask for the help that you need. So this is I think it's an important ceremony. And when I was training the people that I work with, it was their first ceremony. They had to make it through that for a whole year. And there's lots of them that didn't make it the first go round. Had to start over again, but they kept at it. And I think that tenacity of keeping at it till you get it right is also something we need to teach our children, because we live in a society. And so all the white-haired people that are on the screen, you'll know this, that post World War II, everybody fixed things. If something broke, nobody threw it away. You fixed it, and you kept on fixing it till you couldn't fix it anymore. Then you got something new. But today, if something doesn't work, then you either junk it in the garbage and buy something new, or you take it back to the store and they junk it in the garbage and give you something new. So it's a throwaway society. And as soon as something doesn't work, you just ditch it. And that's what we're teaching our children. Oh, you didn't do well in that. Oh, you must be no good at that, and then you teaching them that, failure is to be something to be ashamed of. But, if you look at your own life and you look at the most challenging parts of your own life, what you will remember most are the hard times in your life where you hit the wall, or you hit the ground, or you hit rock bottom, and there was nowhere to go but up. And so, you had to find those resources deep within yourself to pull yourself out of it. And it was only by doing that you understood what you truly believed in and what your character really, really meant. So, it's a character building exercise for the sun ceremony. And so for the rising sun and the descending moon, when they're equidistant in the sky like that, it's they're equidistant today as of May 7th. So the spirits always say that on those days when the sun and the moon are equidistant, that you have an opportunity to talk to the creator and ask the creator for something that you need in your life. So you still have a chance to do that before the next sunrise.
That's amazing. I really appreciate when you straighten us out around failure. I have heard this from you before, and I'm really grateful. I like having this conversation, and I thank you for that, and thank you, Natalie, for bringing it circle around. I think it helps. It helps us all. Okay. There you are. Thank you. Thanks. Now, Marianne had a question, and she has heard of from that Art Solomon that we spoke of last week. Mm-hmm. He mentioned the 8th fire, and she's wondering if you have anything to say on that.
So those are Medewan teachings and Anishinaabeg Nation teachings. So they have 2 medicine lodges. And the Medewan Lodge is the lodge that takes care of the teachings about life. And and the teachings of creation. So when they talk about the eighth fire, it's about the eighth fire of peace, the lighting of the eighth fire. And, you know, when I was young and I had a chance to work with Jim Dumont, who is a chief in the Medewin Lodge now, he talked about that eighth fire, and he said it's the eighth fire of peace, and that we had to work really hard, all of us in the seventh fire, to be able to earn that eighth fire. And so I understand now, from ceremonies that I've heard that he has offered, that eighth fire of peace has been lit now, and that we are moving in that direction. And I believe that because of the events that are happening in the world, because there's a powerful rise of racism, a rise of conservatism and populism throughout the world. And that only rises when it tries to counter spirit. So that tells me that the spiritual people of the world are becoming stronger, greater in numbers, more vocal, more active, more advocacy, and so those other forces then try to rise to counter the spiritual forces. So I think, you know, this is our time as spiritual people to stand for what we believe in, and that eighth fire of peace is the fire that needs to light to light the way for us as human beings. Because if there's ever going to be a law of love in the world, then, you know, we need to work for peace, and peace begins within. One of our faith keepers in Onondaga Nation, Oren Lyons, I asked him to speak one time at an Indigenous health conference, a national health conference we're having here in Canada. And it was supposed to be this month, actually, in Niagara Falls. And we had, of course, to cancel it and think about how to hold it virtually, and also how to hold it in person in the time to come. So Oren, I said, well, you know, what's my topic? What should I talk about? And I said, talk about skana. Talk about peace, because that you can't have health if you don't have inner peace. And you can't have inner peace until you take care of your healing, and until you take care of the challenges that you're facing in your own life, obsessions, addictions, the toxic relationships that you have, the character flaws that you have that continue to dominate you and dominate your relationships. So all of these things put us on a journey of healing as human beings, so that we can feel that inner peace. And when we feel the inner peace as individuals, we feel it, we bring that to our spouses, we bring that to our children, our grandchildren, and our extended family and our communities. So it's a job. It's a job every single day, a conscious job every day to be taking care of your spirit, your heart, your mind, and your body.
Thank you. Lisa also typed something that I want to share in the chat box, because trees also release terpenes. Am I saying it right? Terpenes, which help our body produce cancer fighters. So just breathing in forest air is medicine. Thank you for sharing that, Lisa. Okay. Darlene. Okay, I had an interesting dream about the police coming to arrest me for offending the state. I was not worried because I knew that I had gained power and powerful relationships backing me, ancestors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the state will use everything that it's got, right, to silence people. We've seen that for whistleblowers, not only with this pandemic and the origins of the virus, COVID-19. We've seen, you know, whistleblowers taken down to nothing for showing what governments are really truly about, for creating wars for economic gain, and so on. So this is nothing new, you know, and it's fear-based. So you have to ask yourself, what is the origin of that dream? Where did it come from? And, you know, in those kinds of dreams that want to create fear in your life, you know that they never, those dreams never come from the creator. They come from other sources that are profoundly negative. So in your dreams, you have a challenge. You can say the creator's name over and over again to protect yourself. And then you will wake up from that dream. But you have to train yourself in your subconscious to be able to do that.
Thank you. As you were speaking, she added in, I don't think it was really the state, it was dark forces.
Yeah.
And it felt like a dream of power for her. So thank you for that. So maybe the chat box gotten a little bit long. If I've missed anything, somebody could type in again. Peggy also said if anybody was wondering about the true native trees in their exact area, there's an app made by Diane Beresford Kroger, and botanist. She's a botanist, a Canadian botanist and Celtic shaman. So there's an app that you can download if you were looking to have tree identification at your fingertips. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Sorry if I'm missing anything, Michael. I'm liking. Thank you for typing in those things. Ken too. Anybody have anything? Dreams, questions, sharing. Oh, we got a new message. Okay, so maybe Peggy, you could add the name of that app to the chat. Thank you. I was wondering if I could, since no one else is coming up, when you were saying like, so now is the time we're in sacred isolation. Yeah, I love that. To reflect on things of our own character. What would some of those things be, like not getting along with each other? Like, what are those things in our characters that we could be looking at?
Anger, jealousy, hatred, judgment, impatience, unkindness. I guess the challenge of self-doubt that one would put themselves under, you know, like doubting oneself for your abilities or your calling in life. It could be listening to the grandfathers and the grandmothers and the spirit beings that are visiting you and saying, well, that was a nice paranormal experience, putting that little dream or vision or teaching in a book and forgetting about it. You know, so not honoring the visitations of the spirit. Feeling content with your life and not caring about other people. Feeling that the only thing that matters in life is just your family, and nothing else on the outside of your house really is as important as that. So neglect of children, you know, it can be the anger with children, impatience with children, all those things. Like, it's really, those are difficult things, you know, that affect the quality of the family life. So it's time now, you know, in this time of sacred seclusion, to use your tobacco, use your pipes, use all of your medicines to be able to ask the creator for the help that you need. And part of that is surrendering, you know, like everybody taught us from childhood, be in control, make your own decisions, you know, take care of yourself and so on. But all good, you know, pieces of life to understand and to implement. But you got to do that with kindness. You have to do it with compassion, with caring, with loyalty and love. And, you know, if we don't do that, then what happens is that those things turn around on us. And so you'll start to see that there's patterns in human behavior, that people repeat those patterns. So, you know, in a little while, you know, I'm coming up on 70. And I can look back on every 10 years of my life, and I can say, the first 10 years of my life, this is what I was up to. Free on the land, living on the farm, you know, it was awesome. And not to say that there weren't, you know, family challenges. Absolutely, there were family challenges. But, you know, we always knew that we were immensely loved and cherished and wanted. So the next 10 years of my life, you know, then you're in high school and you're working. And then the next 10 years of your life, you're in university and graduate school. And then the next 10 years of your life, you're starting your professional career and creating a legacy for the work that you're going to do. So what, you know, all those decades of your life have a powerful meaning. And so, you know, where is it in those decades of your life that you've made room for the Creator to guide you in the journey, to listen to the words of the Creator? Like if there's, you know, I know that, you know, lots of people pray, but I'm talking about a higher level of prayer where you actually see the spirits, get a message from them, have a conversation with them, and then you're allowed to ask them questions, and then they bring you the answers. So there's those 4 levels that you go through in your spiritual evolution. It's not just about making the prayer or leaving tobacco or leaving an offering. It's about surrendering your spirit to the Creator and saying, I have had control of my life. This is what has happened to me in my life. These are the hurts and the pains that are shaping me. And I know unless I get healing, those hurts and pains will shape me and shape my children and shape my grandchildren, because they're going to move down the line. So, you know, this is our opportunity as human beings to really reach in times of deep gratitude and giving thanks, pipe ceremonies, sweat lodges, you know, there'll be family sweat lodges, prayers, all of those things, you know, to be offering all of those opportunities to grow and to heal and to evolve spiritually. And, you know, to understand that there's ceremonies that will guide you in this journey. Thank you. Thanks for your kind attention this evening and for being with us. It's really beautiful to see all of you. And where's my little sister there, Pat and Jenny? Oh, there they are. I want to wave to them, Pat and Jenny. And Akuzasne, so grateful for them. So I think we'll close this evening because we're finished now, and I want to ask Wananolo if she'll sing a final song for us. so much, Guananolo. I want to ask Cathy if she'll leave the chat box open, because I wanted to ask you if you'll put into that chat box the ideas that you want to talk about for next week, and we'll organize our talk for next week based on what you bring forward. So thank you so much, relatives, for being with us. It's been so beautiful to see you come from all over the United States, all over Canada. It's awesome. And our Italian relatives as well. So thank you so much. Yahweh.
Thank you so much, Diane. It was a beautiful night. So please, I'll leave the box open. And I see both Michael and Natalie. I see that you have dreams to share. Please share them for save them for next week. Don't forget, write them down. And yes, type in anything that you'd like to type. Love to Diane if you want to type some of that in, and anything for next week. So there is still 64 of us on the line. If you want to unmute and say good night, you can do that.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Good to see you, Frank. Good
Diane.
to see you, Sonny.
Good night, everybody.
Diane, thanks for everything.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Diane.
All the best.
Diane, thank you, Katie.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for the teaching.
Good night. Good
Thank you,
night.
Diane.
Night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Hi, Rodney.
Hi, brother.
Hi, Bibi.
Sunny. Hi, Sunny.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Pam.
Pam. Donna.
Hi, Vicky and
Hi.
Hi,
Marianne.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night, Mary Ellen.
Good night.
I hope
want to add me
that I was
Okay.
Hi, Carrie.
Thank you, Josh. Hi, thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Mark.
Hi, Kendall.
Bye, Sunny.
Hi.
Hold on, that's Quentin and Denise.
I love this.
Night, Kathy.
Good night, Sunny.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good night, Kathy.
Thank you.
Good night, Dan.
Hi, Diane.
Love you.
Good
Love you too.
Sweet dreams.
All right. So if any last, okay, I'm seeing, thanks, Darlene. Yes. Okay, great. I love what you've written.
Tosh.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good night, Tosh.
Thank you,
That's mine.
Nyaw and Miigwech.
Excellent. Okay, you got it in, Carolyn. That was some nice fast typing. Okay, great.
See you there.
That's awesome.
See you, Diane.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
All
night.
right. So I am going to close the meeting, and you could always email. Go ahead, Kelly. You could always email or text me, and I can add to this, but we've got lots of great stuff in here. So thank you so much, everybody. Diane, thank you for your time and your love and your wisdom, and we'll see everybody next week.
Okay.
All
Love
right.
you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.